again. I did this last week. Hey, welcome back to Revolution Radio. Revolution Radio? Revolution Radio. Revolution Radio, Studio A. This is Planet Collingwood. My name is Monty Dean. I blanked out at the start because that's awesome. Anywho. Oh, what? Now what's happening? It's more music. Okay.
Listening to Revolution Radio.
Well, that hour went fast. Still going. Okay. Has it stopped now? Can I do my thing? I'm doing my thing. I'm going to do my thing. All right, I'm doing my thing. Welcome to Revolution Radio. Someone's playing funny buggers in the back there. Someone's being into the cooking sherry and playing with all the bumpers, as one does.
Indeed. Someone is playing banana nut butter, not funny buggers. We've switched to banana nut butter now.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, clowns with banana butter. There you go. Anywho, this is Studio A on Revolution Radio from slips.com. Planet Collingwood. My name is Monty Dean. If you enjoyed the last 2 hours, please go to freedomslips.com and or revolution.radio and donate what you can. Just click on the Patreon button. A big thank you to Why Not and the Y Files and the gentlemen. I could step in and share some information, but I've got 2 hours afterwards, so I'll just do it here. Seem to be doing a very bad impression of Bill Maher. We'll get to him soon. He's doing quite well. Once you're at the website, check out the merchandising. Watch Spaceballs, and you'll understand. Like, there's a reason Elon Musk released a flamethrower, because he saw Spaceballs. Yeah, I'm still waiting for Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money. Speaking of fuel prices, anyway, when you're at the website, pop into the chat room and hang out with wonderful people. Now, I would like to start Planet Collingwood by saying happy anniversary, everyone. It's our second anniversary to Flatten the Curve. Yes, 14 weeks has stretched out to 104. I hope you're doing well. I've been joined by Cortek, Raz, and Bruce MacDonald. So, gentlemen, how's the last 2 years been for you?
Week 104. Didn't think we'd get there. But I was wondering whether we should celebrate these things, and the random person I was camping next to went, yeah, any excuse for a party, get together with your mates, sure. You got the right idea.
Yeah, well, that's very Australian. What's today? Tuesday. Oh, better get some stubbies out. So there is that as well. But yeah, it's the second anniversary. Actually, for Victoria on the 16th, Lord Fractard, the Premier, actually said we're bringing a state of emergency to flatten the curve. And so there'll be anniversaries around the globe of what the hell just happened in the last 2 years. And there seems to be a war going on, but there's not. And so on and so forth. But gentlemen,
I think everyone's quite happy not to speak of it ever again. Let's not mention those last 2 years ever again if we could think we can get away with it. But it just does seem
not going to work because it's still going on.
It does. Like the WEF and WHO are still pushing that dead mule up a hill to try and get the world locked down with digital IDs.
Yes. Well, I'm a second-class citizen, not by choice. Or by choice. I'm not sure. Anyway, we have the vaccine passports here in Victoria. For what reason, I don't know. It's not to do with health. And the CEO of Pfizer has come out and said, yeah, you'll need a fourth shot. Well, really? What about all those documents pointing out that you're wrong?
I'd like to say that was surprising too, but it's not.
No, so you can forget the last 2 years, but you're going to have a culture shock when you wake up tomorrow. It's like, what did I miss? Why is everyone sick?
How's Bruce going? Is he there?
I'm just wondering, people turned up for a chat and they're just staring at their screen.
I think everyone was just
No.
being polite.
Is it the fireworks that I'm setting off in the background? I know it's an audio medium, but it's an anniversary. You got to celebrate hard.
We're actually waiting
No.
for you to bring us into, the heat of the discussion. The
Well, how many-
bananas, the nuts, then the butter.
How many intros do you need? Because you've already had one.
No. That was the intro to the show, and then the intro to the topic of the show, and then the intro to the comedy of the topic of the show.
Yeah, and in between that, I said hello to you.
Yeah,
I
we can't
said
do
your
that every
name and
single
said,
time.
how are you? Luckily,
I'm okay.
it's recorded.
That'd be a lot of introductions the way we skip around.
Okay, all right, fine. For Raz, we have to go through the introductions all again. Okay, Raz, this is Cortek. Cortek, this is Raz. Raz, this
Hi,
is Bruce.
Cortek.
Hey,
This
Hi,
is Raz.
Bruce.
Bruce, that's Cortek. Cortek, that's Bruce.
hi
Hi,
Bruce.
Monty.
Jeez, I'm glad we did that. And I hope we
There you
can
go.
continue to do that at the start of every new topic.
On the minute, every minute, until Pontius Pilate meets our demands.
Well, 8 minutes in, I'm already laughing, so yeah.
Yes, but nothing of substance come out. So
We don't
Awesome.
need to. It's
So
called non sequitur.
I
How do we
had
pronounce
I'm not a gardener. I don't have Oh, actually, I do have secretaries.
No, how do you pronounce that? Non sequitur, that which
Yeah.
does not follow.
Yes, it's called wordplay, Raz. I know English is your second language, so
Yeah, but
there's segue and then there's secateurs. Secateurs
Alright,
are
alright,
garden
alright.
scissors,
Alright.
and segue is a walking implement that you can fall off on.
no. Here's a fact for you. It's my fourth language.
The inventor fell off it and nearly died.
My mum had some secateurs. That's how you use it in a sentence.
It's a Latin word. Not part of my language.
I know what I'll do. I'll just tune into Planet Collingwood, see what they're talking about. We're talking about gardening equipment, and it is a Latin word for gardening scissors.
All right. Speaking of gardening, well, you two
Well, no,
don't have gardens, right?
Well, we were talking about the second anniversary of flattening the curve, but yeah, okay, yeah. Well, actually,
yeah,
people did.
yeah.
A lot of people did garden because they couldn't go to work. So they said, "This is boring. I've completed Netflix and Pornhub.
Twice.
I'm gonna leave out that. Hey, if you want to do you, Cortek. Well, one hand each for Netflix.
Got two hands.
Yeah. See. All right then. Yeah. Thanks for the tone for that.
Thank you.
Hey, I didn't throw us in the gutter. I was just wallowing about.
You were there already. Like, where have you guys been?
Yeah, that's right. Last time I found a big mud hole, I actually did just wallow, and it's not often that you get to immerse yourself in mud like that.
And that's why you're not allowed back in Bunnings, the gardening centre, ever again.
Yeah.
Local reference, chaps.
I heard during the week in something completely different that the world's longest car, if you can go look it up in Guinness, has been restored at last. I don't think by the length of this thing it can actually turn corners, but there you go. Some people just got to do stuff to keep themselves busy.
Yeah. You need a better hobby, Cortek.
Oh, you get a couple.
Gentlemen, News of the World by Cortek.
Sounding a bit muffled there, Bruce.
Yeah, can you increase your volume a little bit?
How's that?
Perfect. What's going on in Bruceland? Always seems like something's going on around the mountain.
It's always very local here. The problems you're going to have in life here are very local. The world out there don't bother me. But things are going well, man. I really couldn't get any laid back, not unless I officially joined the Church of Rastafarians or something. Pretty relaxed up here.
Become an Australian.
I mean it. Well, you know what? It's funny you should bring that up because I just devoured all 3 seasons of an Australian TV show that none of you guys know about, but it's absolutely brilliant.
What is it?
Mr. In Between.
I do not know that.
Yeah, it's so huge, only foreigners know about it, Cortek.
Hmm.
Any kind of short synopsis?
It's a crime drama, and it's set in Sydney.
Oh,
Well, it's a
Yeah.
crime thing.
Oh, it's-
it's like The Matrix.
No.
Kinda.
Yeah, so's the Olympics
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, it was in Sydney. Oh, like the Matrix. No. Yeah, I do find it interesting. For those playing at home, Cortek kept sharing this stuff in the call chat, and it's an audio medium, and we're on air, so I can't read anything. So I just see all these article headlines fly by. I'm like, well, thank you. He's my Jamie to if I'm Joe Rogan, but I'm not.
Same here, so that's lucky.
And he's not Jamie. So
It's 2 for 2.
let's deconstruct that sentence. I noticed people are discovering Russell Brand because he's deconstructing all these people, and I'm thinking, let's just put my jealous ego to the side just for a moment. It's like, it's good that he's catching up because this station and most people on it have been talking about stuff like that for a decade.
He's got a pretty strong work ethic. He's pumping out a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I don't know about Russell Brand, man. He's creepy vibe.
Well, he did marry Katy Perry, and he was sort of like in the beast of the entertainment industry, and he was a sex addict, and so now he hasn't found Jesus, he's found something, and so I don't think he's gone the Jim Carrey where Jim Carrey turned into a ball of light and wants to get back to that. And then the next sentence is he hopes Trump falls down 18 flights of stairs. Like, I think there's a connection there.
Seemed
Jim.
like Jim Carrey went a little crazy there for a second.
That's what I'm pointing out. Like, if you want to become a ball of light, you can't have hatred in your life.
Yeah. I'm not saying he's a proper London metrosexual dandy or anything like that, but
No, it's
I'm
more of a
pretty sure
slut.
I'm pretty sure when he goes beard trimmed, he asks for a Brazilian.
Well, he's popular and he's getting the message out, so that's good. It's now I'll bring back my jealous ego. It's like, but I've been doing that. But however, for those people listen to my show, and I know there are 3 of you, I'm a secret. So I'm not big, I'm not known, but people who've found me enjoy what I do. So I'm doing my part. Let the Akashic Records show I did my bit.
You're doing a good job.
Years and years before everyone else. Like, even people in the Whinging Menace, it's like, it's a Hillary Clinton joke. Like, oh, gee, look, 12 years ago, dude. Come on.
We can get some kind of medal made. You can hang around your neck or something.
Then I'll have to get a chest to pin it on. Yeah, you've heard that. Do you want a medal? Do you want a chest to pin it on? Yeah. So yeah, so 2 years, and everyone's like, yeah, and most of it's coming out in the wash, as well as did you see Barry Soetoro has COVID, even though he's up to date with his jabs?
That just goes to show that anyone can get it and needs regular vaccination.
Of course, yeah. Well, Barack Obama, for the 3 people who don't know who Barry Soetoro is, and he's very glad that he was vaccinated because it could have been worse. And someone actually put underneath a tweet, my girlfriend got pregnant because I was wearing a Trojan, but I was lucky that I was wearing a Trojan at the time.
Could have been worse.
That's the name of a condom, a prophylactic, ladies and gentlemen.
I think they came out with they tried to mix Omicron with Delta. Now the new one that came out, because they have such little creative understanding, is Deltacron or something like that. I saw somewhere someone saying that. I was like, who is even coming out with these stupid names? WHO. Who are they mainly funded by? It seems to be 1, 2, and 3. Germany, Bill Gates, and the US government.
Well, for a moment there, I thought you were talking about Chuck Norris films. Delta Force. Oh, that's awesome.
I love Delta Force.
Omicron Force. Oh, this had a straight-to-video sequel that I didn't know of. No, actually, the latest one, because you're in New South Wales and I'm in Victoria, but apparently the son of Omicron, it's a variant of the Omicron virus, is going to hit because we're going into our winter down here in the Southern Hemisphere. And yeah, it's like
Can I
instead of
shit on this station?
you have for weeks.
Okay, that is a load of shit.
Oh, the word. Oh yeah. Yeah, but it's not the medical people that are actually coming up with these. It's like bad marketing. It's like, okay, we've got a bottle of Jack Daniels and a gram of cocaine. We have to come up with something new overnight.
Stay here all night, people. Let's order it and take out.
Son of Omicron. That sounds brilliant. That will get the gamers. It sounds like a comic book movie. It'd be awesome.
People already know the words, so they don't think it's something new we're trying to make up.
And it's just really weird, like the whole thing of, you can't call it the China virus. For 2 years, it's racist. It's not the Wuhan flu or the Kung flu or anything else like that. And then Putin just steps into, puts a foot in Ukraine. Everything Russian should be burnt from history.
It's crazy. It's crazy, though. Over in London, in the UK, like mansions are getting seized from oligarchs. Over in Venice, the Italians have seized a $530 million mega yacht owned by some Russian oligarch. It just seems like a free-for-all.
Well, it's interesting the difference between the United States and Russia. In Russia, they're oligarchs, but in the United States, they're entrepreneurs.
Yeah. But let's just talk about this for a moment, because it hasn't escaped my attention that the West's response to Vladimir Putin is very similar to Justin Trudeau's response to the truckers. It's all like paper. Now, what court did they go through to seize this property?
None.
Are they like just... Yeah, okay, so this worries me, okay? Because the days of taking the West seriously in this manner are long gone. And it's just not going to end well. And we don't have that authority. We don't have that muscle anymore. And, when you freeze somebody from using a system like SWIFT, it means they can't move money. So if they have money in a bank, it's not like the bank actually seized it, but they are actually seizing it now. And I don't recall any declaration of war that allows that.
We've got some flimsy talk of an organisation that should have been disbanded when it's it's opposite.
You mean its purpose?
Well, when this purpose was to stop Russian, to kind of be a front against Russia.
It wasn't.
Soviet Republic.
The Soviet Union. And isn't the Russian language interesting? Because we know it as the USSR, which is what the United Soviet States of Russia or something. I can't remember exactly. But in their language, it's CCCP.
CCCP, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, wow.
But they've got letters that are back to front, so that's super true.
Oh, yeah, they use the letter 3.
I think it's just a thing that we need to be super wary of, these organizations that put global or world in their title, or anything that has these advertising adjectives in it, that like Winners Poke Lounge, we're world organization, but no one really democratically elected you. Now you're trying to start making policy.
Yeah, but it's the New World Order. Bush Senior, or George Bush Senior announced it on, I think, September 11th, which is the State of the Union address or something like that. It's a new world order. And that's sort of the premise, because we're good. And it's like, unless you disagree with them, and then it's the man with a stick doesn't care about your piece of paper. And that's sort of to answer your question of how can they do this? Because they can, and people won't stop them. Like the whole thing of, they try and use legalities, but if it's a fault, slavery was legal. The Jewish Holocaust was legal. You know, you can go through all the things. Oh, and just very quickly, if I'm going to deviate, John Cleese was in South by Southwest in Austin over the weekend because they got their festival on.
That's cool.
Yeah, he had his microphone stolen, taken away from him because he was, he's 80. I'm going to die soon. I don't care. I think, to misquote him. However, he put forth, like slavery reparations. And he said, well, being English, I would like to get reparations from Italy and France. And a spat happened. I don't know if you saw that story.
I did not.
Yeah, and he just pointed out like the Romans in the first 400 years of the last millennium, I think, or whatever, 43 AD to 400 AD, the
Talking about
Romans.
the Romans in the UK, yeah.
Yeah. And then in 1066, when the Normans, who are basically from France, came over and put people into slavery for I think 10% of the population were slaves for about 30 years.
I think it's good to point out inconsistencies like that. When do you stop? When do you make a rule? Don't just arc up now because you want something, because we've never really done that before, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to do it now.
Oh, yeah, and it also makes, now this is not John Cleese, but, racists who live in England, we're pure British. You've been invaded 8 times in 1,000 years. Shut up.
Yeah.
The Viking, the Norse, the French, the Normans, the Italians being Roman, and there's hardly. I think the Welsh are more pure blood than the English.
The UK is a lot of posturing of poverty, parading as privilege. Honestly.
Well, yeah. Comments from the Supercoach. There's nothing funny about that, Court. What are you doing?
Sorry, just came out.
It's true, the English people have been treated like utter shite for centuries, and then you have the Queen riding in a golden carriage to go get anointed by some git in a dress. So I just basically condensed the coronation into 2 sentences.
I went off into some kind of one of my own zombie movie shoots where I got your bit of the Queen in her gold gilded chariot going down the streets, and I had all the people with the little Britain flags, at the side of the road, and then I changed it and then got them to raid the chariot, ripped her apart, couple of arms off.
Well, see, she's 96 this year, so she's almost a zombie. And they had to make sure she's still alive so she could reach platinum status for her coronation since her father died. It's lovely how the royal family have these weird dates to remind when family members died.
Do you think?
Yeah, I do.
Most people sometimes. Therefore, I am. Do you think a lot of people seem to make it to a century, and then go?
Yeah, that's enough.
I'm not sure if I can do that again.
Yeah, I'm not.
It's so much, and then you see couples that have been in love since high school and stuff. One dies, the other one's kind of goes, well, there's no use for it. I'm out of here, and they die within the next 6 months generally because they just go, well. It seems so much mind related. I don't know. It just seems you could push it the other way.
Well, also, if your body is original equipment that's nearly a century old, and if you look at teenagers today, it's like, no, I'm out of here.
Your body is the most incredible, complex bit of machinery in this galaxy, I reckon.
Well, yeah. Well, it's a galaxy to itself. Or a model of the universe, because if you look at a cell as a solar system or a star system, and then look how many cells you have, they say that you replace your body every 7 years, not at the same time, because you wake up in the morning and there's a husk of you right next to you. That will freak you out. It slowly does it, and so that they replace the cells that way. But if you actually go by atom and molecule, you change every 3 weeks.
I've heard that 7-year thing. That's really, really cool. What another thing I heard? I was listening into some discussion. Some people were talking about. I don't know. They were trying to cut down on. This is completely random and a government kind of thing, but they were trying to cut down on. It's surprising because it's a story that I'm impressed with people in the government talking about. But they were talking about how much power streetlights used, and then they started talking about how they could use some kind of ratio depending on the lunar cycle. So maybe when there's a full moon, you'd need to power less. And I thought, oh, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool thinking.
Yeah, I'm sure an accountant came up with that.
Maybe. I don't think they're that creative.
Like,
I think they
'cause
go
in,
into accountants because they do
Yeah,
numbers. and
well,
that's it.
like, how can we save money here? In Ozark, the TV show, at the very start, the main character's actually looking at a flaw, actually in the Trump Tower, and there was no snide remark about it, which was good. But he points out, like, because they don't get the whole floor, they just get like an office section, and they is it north face?
What
They
was
have
the
to.
problem? What was the flaw?
I was trying to get to it, but you
What was the
interrupted.
problem? Or was it an actual flaw?
He's your friend, Bruce. During winter, you want to have the windows facing the sun, so you save 20% on heating or something like that.
North facing.
And Ukraine is a country in Europe.
Yeah, and Africa's a country in Africa.
What? When did that happen?
I don't know. I remember someone saying it. Actually, Biden and Harris, they do sound like an awesome comedy duo, but they're not.
So we're going to go into Ukraine? Not physically.
I think Putin already has.
Do you see that stuff about Victoria Newland? If that is her real name, I'm sure she probably got it changed just to make it feel like she was doing her life's work.
Well, hang on. Is that what Victoria was called back in the day? Like my state was Victoria Newland.
Her last name used to be Cran.
To step from that, you'll be able to add to it. Tulsi Gabbard has basically been sharing the information that she shared in the Senate committee. And then Mitt Romney, who would name their son after an oven mitt or whatever, mittens? It's just weird. Has said that Tulsi Gabbard is promoting Russian conspiracy theories, and geez, he got dumped on from a very high level.
Haven't heard that before. She is like what was the name of that show? Something Warrior Princess? Something
Xena
Warrior. She is like Xena Warrior Princess in real life. She's good looking. She says good stuff, and she's in for the fight. There's nothing not to like about that chick.
Yes, and she's got a grey streak because she's a combat veteran. And someone said she looked like Rogue from the X-Men.
That's hot. Warrior chicks are hot.
Yeah, it's not a dating show, Cortek.
Is it?
No. Behind door number 1, hello.
What's behind door number 2? The box?
G'day. Oh, you pervert, the box. How dare you?
My name's Deirdre.
I'm a sports athlete.
Weightlifting's my gig.
We're all just afraid to speak for fear of breaking this chemistry you two have.
Sorry, I don't go away. I'm looking at stuff. All right,
but mainly we keep talking because there's bloody pauses that you could fly a Star Destroyer through.
Did you know that?
No.
Okay, fair enough. I'll leave it at that then. No, Amazon's indigenous people have the lowest rate of dementia. And I don't know if generally kind of because all the families together all the time, and you don't farm your old people off to a nursing home where all they've got to speak to is, old people. That what keeps old people young is the interaction between young people and old people. That family range or parameters of the whole age.
They have done an experiment of playing 1940s music in a retirement home. And they got up and all started dancing and laughing, and because their mind went back to when they were younger, instead of just like drooling into their mush.
Yeah, I think we've had that experiment, and I don't think it's the best way to go in terms of our mentors. I feel like it's systematic to the killing of all of our shamans and role models.
Yeah. Mind you, I have a legal question. Do the tribes of the Amazon have a leg to stand on and they can sue Jeff Bezos?
I don't think so. I don't think they know who Jeff is.
you can go hiking for 3 days in the Amazon jungle and you'll find a tribe and like, oh, they've never been interacted with the outside world, and they're all wearing little Dem and Daisy Duke shorts.
Oh, they got a post box.
Yeah, well, remember that whatever happened to that caravan that was coming from Honduras, and like we are all refugees, and they all had iPhones.
Yeah, not 13 minis, but iPhones nonetheless.
Yeah. It was before they came out. That's why.
He is still angling for a.
He wants another one.
He wants to be sponsored, is what he wants.
Yeah. I mean, look at the features that the iPhone 13 mini has. I mean, it's so great. You can overlook the slavery and the suicide nets.
I know this is radio, but check out this picture I took with my iPhone, my new iPhone. Sorry. Apple started the war, not me. They did, and they have to go down because they went proprietary software route, the same as Sony did. Sony invented the Walkman, and where are they now? No one cares.
They make Sony made the latest Spider-Man movie, so they're doing all right.
Really?
Yeah.
They're a production house now?
Yeah, now.
Oh. They're famous for being a production house now?
Brilliant. Sony is one of the few examples I know of like the West totally stealing intellectual property from the East. It's usually the other way around. But they came out with Beta, and their patent was so strong that nobody could replicate it. But everybody realized immediately that this would be in every home within 2 years. And so they came out with VHS. Totally ripped to circumvent the Japanese patent on Beta. You guys remember that?
Yeah, Beta was a better product. Beta was being used by news.
It's still used in broadcast television because it's such a good quality.
Yeah,
the thing is, domestically, commercially, I remember the great VHS Beta wars, and everyone bought VHS because I think they were slightly cheaper. And
did they, or did the porn industry decide that one for us? I'm pretty sure that's the story between Beta and VHS. And why
so you're saying
VHS
that the Australian market, families and everyone, it was based on porn. It wasn't just, It
was. It totally was. And I think it probably came down to the quality of the, 6 brick size things you had to put on your shoulder at that point.
You're talking about home video, but Beta is still a better system than VHS.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, everyone went out and bought VHS back in the 80s.
Because it was... I'm not going to go into it. We'll find something. We'll debate this later, but I'm pretty sure the porn industry decided that one for everyone. It sounds far-fetched, I know, but it's not my idea.
Yeah, so you're saying that my dad bought a VHS player because he liked porn.
Your dad was well into porn, I heard.
Yeah,
definitely, Monty.
Yeah. Things that didn't happen for 300. Thanks, Alex. So all this intellectual talk is just blowing Rose's mind.
So, is he there?
I'm actually looking at meme and listening to you guys. Don't worry, just keep going.
That's the topic guess you want on audio. I'm looking at something else.
Was it the moon? Did he say? I'm looking at the moon. The meme.
What? Me?
The moon?
I don't know. It sounded like meme here.
I'm looking at me.
Or me, meme, moon.
I'm pretty sure we could just notch that one down to the porn industry.
Yeah, there's a theme here, Cortek. Stop that.
Something else I saw was, how like every because we've got this 24-hour media cycle that science has to come out with one story a week about how you should be completely doing a 180-degree turn on what you've been doing for your whole life because of a latest study. The latest one is that sleeping with a light on harms your heart.
So that's number 53 of you'll have heart problems. It's not like say everyone.
No, that's great. That's an amazing link I didn't think of. That's excellent.
Because
news of the world.
Yeah, last week. Last week we lost. Well, a couple of weeks ago we lost.
Warney.
Rod Marsh. Shane Warne was the next day. I can't believe. I don't know if it was an Australian cycling star. I don't know if he died or he had a heart attack, as well as a Victorian senator. All part, the four of them all in the space of a week.
And nothing sus.
Nothing sus. I mean, they're all up to date with their jabs, but it's and then our federal health minister said, everyone should get their heart checked. And it's like, well, how many? What's the number of athletes that have? I don't know how many have died, but I know we're over 100. Someone said even 500 of sports people.
Wow.
Having heart problems while playing the game.
This is
a lot of soccer stars.
Next big thing, though. I didn't even think about this in a COVID context, but it's just propaganda to cover the tracks of these things being pumped into people doing what we thought they would do. Every single company's come out and gone, well, we've done the studies now, and it's no more effective than the yearly flu. Doesn't stop you getting it, doesn't stop you transmitting it, doesn't do anything basically, but we'll keep repeating that same lie that you're better off for having it. Just don't do any exercise because you might die.
Yeah, you want to get that heart rate up and get the heart working because it's been, what's the word, compromised.
Healthy for too long.
Cortek, check out the video I sent.
What is it? Is it hosted?
Check out the video. What is it? I don't know. Check it out, you idiot.
It's a WebM. It's a WebM. If it's not hosted,
it's a WebM.
Okay.
Just click the download button and then you click the play button and relax like a boomer.
Can you give us the gist of it?
So, we're on air.
Because me, not going to help people at home.
It's about the whole COVID collapsing thing you're talking about. Healthy people and their heart just go.
Yeah, it does.
Well, remember,
there's a pattern there.
We did see a lot of people falling over in Wuhan, and we thought that was the actual virus. And we never saw anyone collapsing from the virus in the last 2 years from the virus. But now there are people collapsing who don't have the virus, are collapsing because they've had possibly from the 17 jabs they're having. And then also the same people that don't collapse, they also get COVID, and they still want people to get vaccinated. I think the big pharma needs to get more money still.
We're in the flip-flop stage. So early on, even someone I saw reports of people complaining about their friend suiciding, then it being classed as COVID. When are they going to flip-flop on this and say, well, that heart condition clearly wasn't from the vaccine? This is what is it, another 6 months where we start talking about the dramatic increase in myocarditis and stuff in heart-related problems, not just heart-related problems, but in any kind of embolism that might happen in the brain or anything like that. We're going to see in the next 6 months a massive, and maybe for the next 10 years, a massive rise in all these numbers. And
possibly,
yeah. It's happening already. There is no possibility.
Yeah. Well. When you say numbers, it's like everyone's going to die. Well, eventually,
no,
yes.
I don't think everyone's going to die. But we're going to see that this is not a great practice to pump yourself with.
We have been seeing that for the last 6 to 9 months. However, what we are seeing is that apparently gardening can give you stroke and heart attacks. Folding the bed can give you a heart attack. Climate change can give you a heart attack as well.
Supporting Russia can give you a heart attack.
Yeah. Not a heart attack gun from the CIA. That doesn't exist.
No.
And
does that
there was actually an advertisement on the side of a bus somewhere in the UK saying that 4-year-olds get heart attacks, and everyone with a brain's like, well, that's new, because that would have been mentioned somewhere in history.
Yeah, that is BS. Sorry, Bruce.
Yeah. Oh no, I got nothing.
Yeah, that's why we pause, and because you make a noise and we pause, and then that happens. Yeah.
The thing about the COVID part, it's not the heart attack problem, it's the HIV. Cool. That's the problem. You know, that's
Excuse me.
just the scary thing in it.
I don't know, because I don't have a fan.
Yeah, Cortek, you have the ability to mute.
Hello?
Yeah, hi. You do have the ability to mute. Yeah.
I muted the wrong
Mute.
thing. Sorry, I've just been sorry. That was sorry.
No. We're just prying into listen to the real life of Cortek away from the microphone. Hi. But yes, there is that thing going, or they're calling it VADs now, or VADs. They've just put the V in front of it. Interesting enough, when I think it was the University of Queensland, it was in Queensland. I remember the word Queensland. That's like the pointy bit in Australia on the right.
Yeah, I know that.
That's above Cortek, like on the planet, not mentally. And they were working on a vaccine, but then they realized that everyone seems to be coming back positive for HIV, and so they paused the work on that vaccine. And I'm just going to call it a rumor. Hasn't someone sort of broken it down, like in the virus in a lab? And doesn't seem to be a natural virus. Like with what's been going on. Where's Fauci? That's a great TV show.
Yeah.
But they seem to it seemed to be, someone's been messing around, like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type stuff. And there's an element of HIV structure molecule in the virus or something like that. Did we see any of that?
You want me to tell you about it?
Yeah.
That way, another history lesson for you guys. HIV is not a virus, it's a parasite. It comes from Chagas parasite. It's actually manufactured Chagas parasite. And Chagas parasite is when you, how can I put it, modify it, it wrecks your immune system. Now, HIV didn't exactly come from Africa and was not exactly gay-related cases. It's an immunodeficiency problem from the parasite Chagas, that is essentially T. cruzi, that is very, very common. Many people get it, but they don't get their immune system wrecked. Why? Because simply that's just how it works. Now, does the vaccine has it? Yes, it does. Is it a virus? No. The HIV we've seen, the little round circle with lots of dendrils coming out of it, that's actually a protein under stress. It's an exosome. So it's not exactly a virus. The virus was never really a computer isolated modeled past tense. It wasn't exactly done like that. It's all been fake. Every time they say virus, guys, it's not a virus. It's a parasite.
Is there such thing as a virus, Raz?
A virus exists in nature. Nature can come up with a virus, can screw up, can screw us up. But at the same time, what a virus essentially is a virus is like a piece of paper with something written on it. It's a coding. So you take a piece of paper and you write destroy blood cells in humans, and you give it to a human being, it will destroy all the blood cell in the human being's body. You take that piece of paper and you give it to a pig, it will never affect the pig. Why? Because destroy blood cells in human beings.
Yeah,
that's
not,
a virus.
it's not the coding of the structure of said virus.
Yeah.
What I find fascinating is the consciousness element of it, is that the virus somehow knows to adapt. Because if I get infected and I infect Cortek, and then I die because the virus got a bit too excited and killed the host, because that's a bad virus, bad virus.
It's an alien virus.
Yeah, somehow, sometimes through consciousness, the virus in Cortek's like, oh, better not do that. I'm gonna, get some crystals and change, and that's what I find fascinating. Somehow there's a field between the viruses, and so it mutates to survive and get more infectious. It always blows my mind. Go ahead, Raz.
The thing is, what you just said is essentially survivability versus, the spreading of it, and how exactly viruses will keep the host alive so they can spread to the maximum. But what's happening here is we have something that is labeled a pathogen that can only affect something. Let's just call them sea snakes. Now, If you want to test that pathogen, you have to get sea snake in a lab. It's gonna be a little bit of a pain. So what we do is we take that pathogen, call it something that destroys blood cells, and we add something to it that enables it to destroy blood cells in rabbits. Now, rabbits breed fast. We can use rabbits in a lab, and now a pathogen that used to infect only sea snakes can infect rabbits. We call this a gain of function. Chagas has been through gain of function. HIV has been through gain of function, so they can infect the maximum they can.
COVID
That's
went
why.
through gain of function, didn't it?
Now, listen to me. When I have to tie this to what's going on right now. In the Ukrainian biolabs, we had those idiots looking for something very interesting, synovial tissue. Synovial tissue means your joints, your caps, the white crunchy thing when you're eating chicken drumstick, the white crunchy thing at the extremities of the bone. We call that the synovial cap. Synovial cap at your joints. Sometimes you feel it, it clicks, it's crunchy. Now, synovial caps have synovial fluids. The problem with immunodeficiency problems is they always affect the joints, always.
Yeah.
If you want to understand immunodeficiency diseases, you have to go for joints. You have to go for synovial caps. What were they doing in the Ukrainian biolab? They were studying Russian Caucasian synovial caps, synovial tissues. They were trying to gain a function, the parasite that we call HIV, so it can be properly in its coronavirus format, so it can properly affect the Caucasoid version of what we call synovial fluids. So this is essentially what's going on right now. We have all kinds of, how can I call this, pathogens in this world. Many pathogens comes in, have an effect on a population, and then it disappears. I mean, look around, guys. We have Aborigines, we have primitive people living all over the place. Humanity's always been here. Mm-hmm. Suddenly, you're telling me there's a massive virus that's spreading all over the place. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't. You can simply isolate and end it. Your immune system can just look at it and then crush it. The human body is excellent at many, many things. But now we're going through a world where everyone is getting HIV. Why? Because HIV has had a lot of gain of function introduced into it. HIV has been highly modified. HIV is not a virus, it's a parasite that's been modified to accommodate as many people as possible.
I saw a story about something coming out somewhere in some country about a new version of AIDS or something to that degree. You know, so it's something that seems like it's constantly.
There is no new version of AIDS. There is no mutation of AIDS. They are themselves doing it, and then they tell you, "Oh, look, guys, there's a stronger super strain version of HIV. Oh, how are we going to possibly deal with this super strong strain of HIV? There is no such thing as a super strong strain of HIV. It's their product."
Yeah, and gain of function. We've heard that before, haven't we? Because when Dr. Paul, and someone who thinks they're a Dr. Fauci, we're having it, and that's just in Wuhan. And Bruce, you mentioned it was 3 different places. One was in the US, I think one was in Toronto, and the other one was Wuhan. And I find it fascinating. It's probably not connected to COVID-19. But you've got the biolabs in the Ukraine now, which was a conspiracy theory. 6 days later, it became true. That's how fast we're moving here, people.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theories down to 6 days. And, because, it's hard. Well, I find it hard to talk about Ukraine because I don't know what's real and what's not. And everyone's in it, and I've still got Yemen, Northern Ireland, and Syria still bouncing around my head as well. Did you know that, is it Lazinski? That's his name, the president of the Ukraine. You can buy him in Lego form now. I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know.
Zelensky is known as the crackhead of Ukraine.
Okay, yeah. I've seen footage of him where it's like he's sniffing way too much.
Yeah. Does it come with the latex underwear?
The
Is he
Azov
smoking?
battalion is pumping him full of cocaine right now. He's been 24/7 on crack. You can see it in his interview and everything. He is not the ghost of Kiev, the crackhead of Kiev.
He must do
Everyone.
it Fleetwood Mac style.
Oh, I think he's done more blow than the Clintons.
Mm.
What
I
makes
see. I
you-
don't even.
Go,
I
Bruce.
don't even know. I don't even know how you know you. I don't know how you know something like that. What do you look for if somebody's using a lot of cocaine?
They
Mind you, I
keep,
bet you-
they keep sniffing a lot.
Because there are people
They talk
from
really, really fast and want to talk about themselves, and they have only a stories to talk about themselves, and they only talk about
That's why,
themselves.
they tweakers. It's an aptly name because they start twitching and tweaking. Like it's who's the guy from? I think is it Tweak from South Park?
Yes,
Like-
whose parents own a coffee shop. Kind of thing.
you guys know the disco ball sort of eyes when you give someone who is not used to cocaine and they just sober up and you can see the disco ball lights in their eyes like a club lights in their no
For legal reasons, no.
no. Well, let's just say Zelensky has a bit of a sobered disco ball eyes.
Hey, he's got it under control, man.
The kind of eyes that says
he can quit anytime he wants.
the kind of eyes that says, "Please, Zelensky, follow this light," and he'll just steer forward as you pass the light right next to his face.
I can't remember if the pupils are that big. You can throw chairs and watch them just disappear into the abyss. Because I think with heroin, they turn into pinholes, and that's where you get the term "they're pinned," because their pupils are very, very
Small.
like a very, very small, like a dot
Yeah.
instead of a. Then you get the other drugs where the pupils are like, I need to see everything.
Which do you opt for? This whole thing with the the allegations of 330 US bases around the world doing stuff like this leads me to believe I don't know what the US bases in my country are doing, and when we were locked down and new variants came out, you have to accept that it's a possibility that this is how things were being spread around the world.
Cortek. Long ago, they tried to splice Ebola with smallpox. Believe me, what we're going through now is a bit soft and tender.
What I'm
You don't
talking
wanna
about
stop-
is the US bases in basically every single country around the world
No.
provide a
No,
network.
it's not.
to
No,
do
it'd be
things
just
like
the labs.
In
It'd be the
China
bio labs.
mainland, it's not in China mainland. It is like small labs. Wuhan lab is actually a very small lab. It's not in India and Russia. They have their own, and they don't let US in there. India and Russia don't have any.
I'm just of the mind if you're going to do something like this and you want to take life and death into your own hands, that you really should be doing it in your own country.
Uh,
Yeah.
There is no
They-
guarantees that this is not happening in every single other country there's a US base in. There is no guarantees
all
at
right,
all.
all right. Explain something to me, Cortek, and tell me why they did it. Okay, it's a simple thing.
I feel it'd be
You
quicker
read-
that you explained it if you're.
All right.
Stop interrupting.
All right. Once upon a time was Zika in Brazil.
I remember.
Zika caused microcephaly.
Quick question.
Okay.
I haven't spoken much this table. Cortek, are you on cocaine?
Hey, no? Why? Why, have you got some? No, I would.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have,
If we had some, we'll share it via chat.
if you were here, have some kid pedal down the mountain for you for $10.
Cool. I ain't
Yeah,
coming.
and that's pure stuff. You're just chewing the leaves.
Yeah.
No, you're going to finish the bag on that one.
No, Cortek.
Hypothetically,
Cortek.
yes.
That
Zika.
that microcephaly, which causes babies' head to be smaller, was actually caused by the insecticide, the pesticide that was used to fumigate Zika. Now, why did they do that?
Monsanto, was it?
To fumigate Zika.
Mm-hmm.
Why did they do that?
Yeah, Cortek.
Sell more sell more product? I don't know. They're all about money.
Sell more product? No, they didn't need to sell product.
Sell more product plus kill people?
They knew exactly what they were doing.
Okay, this is
Did
going to
they-
take on. This is going
Did
to
they
take
have
a while.
small head collection that they wanted to expand? I get
Yes,
like
Cortek, pause.
It's
Raz,
called-
just
Raz,
Raz,
called
answer the question
experiments.
because we're coming up to the end of
All right,
part
all right.
one. So
It's called experimentation. The reason why we have labs in every single country is because Philippines have US biolabs is because we need to test it from the Filipino gene perspective. We need to test it from the Georgian gene perspective. We need to test it from the countries that have a high density of race mixing like Thailand and all that. We need to test it from the perspective. You can't just have it in one little country where they test the whole planet. It doesn't work like that.
I don't believe that these organizations are so benevolent to be studying something like that for a positive outcome. Okay, so if they're in a lab in another country to make sure they've got the genes to make sure this gets right, it's not because they want to heal people. It's because they want to have the, this, as Bruce said, this cosmetic culture approach. And we saw that because it would affect different people in different continents in different ways.
Yes,
so
Bruce.
It doesn't seem like a giant jump to make.
Yes, Bruce. You've been trying to share for 5 minutes.
It was all comedically timed. It's lost now. We're just gonna have to suffer this estrogen run in Cortek and just do our
see, this is why you sound a bit quiet. So if you're louder, you would be able to step in, and the other two will be going, "Oh, Bruce is talking."
I did find some estrogen pills in the rubbish. I'll go take them. I don't know what they do, but I'm sure they're going to.
When I said get a hobby, get a good hobby.
I'm sure anything from the pharmaceutical industry is good for you, isn't it?
Yeah, you need to lie down, Cortek.
It goes through thorough testing, Cortek. You're okay.
Okay, that's all I need.
There's good money in it too. We're coming up to the break here at Flatten Collingwood. We're halfway through. I have no idea what we talked about, but we got here, so that's the main thing. Just waiting for the music to start so I can go find out why my cat is yelling at the backyard again. She likes to do that. That's her hobby. So anyway, hang on. Well, I don't know if there is going to be a bumper because we sort of had the end of bumper at the start of the thing because it should have started by now.
Oh no, did they turn them off indefinitely and said, well, if you're going to talk about how bad I bumper, then you don't get one to go to the toilet.
Yeah, you don't get no bumper for a toilet break. Yeah, I think that's where we're at. So
we can do the things where we kind of sing our own versions of the bumper again.
Yeah, maybe not for legal reasons. But I'm just going to quickly go see. I'm going to have a break, so talk amongst yourselves. So, Revolution Radio, down the highway and stuff. So I'll be back in a sec.
Down the highway.
What?
This is just embarrassing.
All right, Bruce. What's up? What is it in your mind politically? Tell me. This is the time.
Well, I my perception of what's going on in the world hasn't really changed for years.
Yeah.
At least 5 years. It seems clear to me that there is a concerted effort about to reshape this human race and reorganize it, and to do that, have to. There we go.
There it is.
Nice.
To be continued.
It is I, your host. So I hope you guys threw to the bumpers quite well because they started eventually. So here we are. You're listening to Revolution Radio Studio A. This is Planet Collingwood, the second half of the show. I think we're playing well. The ground's been quite soddened. But, that's good football, that. Bit of biff, bit of mud. It's all fun and games till someone loses an eye. My name's Monty Dean. Hello, how are you? If you enjoyed the last hour, I did. Go to freedomslips.com and donate what you can. Click on the Patreon button and share what you can in realistic terms. Maybe just donate a gallon of petrol. That's what, $15,000 now. And once you're there, pop into the merchandising area of the website and buy some hats and caps and grease off the rod. No, and then pop into the chat room because we're 100% listener supported. So thank you for everyone that does support, as well as who donate to my cause of feeding my cat and myself. And that can be done on my YouTube channel page. Through PayPal, and if you want to just do it naturally, it is waferthinmont@gmail.com is your gateway to gateway to donating. Anywho, I've been joined by Cortek, Raz, and Bruce MacDonald, and I will be running to the back door momentarily when the cat calls, because if I don't, it's just going to keep going on and on and on and on. And we're talking about gain of function because it is the second anniversary for Victoria going into lockdown to flatten the curve over 14 days because, the health system is not prepared. Strangely enough, today, it's still not prepared 2 years in, and billions of dollars and all that type of stuff. And the martial law that we had here in Victoria, but let's forget about that because, like, Ukraine, Yemen.
Bruce was actually in the middle of something.
Bruce was telling us his static worldview of the last 5 years. Bruce, please continue before you get drowned out.
Okay, so I've basically been seeing things the same way since about 2018. Probably, well, actually, no, going all the way back to like 2015, 2016. And that is simply that there's a plan about to reorder the world. And it's not that anybody really wishes you ill. There's just a profound indifference to what happens to you as this trend. You're either going to be able to get in tune with what they're trying to do, or they're going to do their very best to get rid of you.
Swim or sink.
And yeah, so I mean this should be obvious to everybody now. Okay, I mean you could easily, we've done this before on these roundtables where we do connect the dots going all the way back to 2001. The United States is an extremely powerful economy, or it was. I mean, at the end of the Cold War and by the end of the 90s, the United States was just a powerhouse of an economy. And so they had to figure out ways to slowly take it down, right? Because it was too big to crash it all at once. And so that's what all these little bumps and hurdles have been about. And it should be clear to everybody that our leaders are involved in this. And also that the original contract they extended to us, our constitutions and then our social contracts, which I think they really started in going from Canada, like the early 70s, and the massive debt, and which most countries, except for the RAS, but Australia and Canada were, if you go back to like the early 70s, they were debt free. And so this of course coincides with taking us off the gold standard. And then we went over this last week. The first thing after the Cold War they did was they doubled the fractional reserve from 1 to 10 to 1 to 20.
Yeah.
So one of the jobs of government is to provide sound currency, and that means that the note has value, and it really doesn't anymore, and it hasn't for quite some time. And really, in the absence of gold backing up a note, under the system they've set up now, the collateral on debt is the productivity of the citizens. And so if they can't figure out a way to cancel out debt amongst all the countries that owe each other, because that would be the best thing to do. But remember, debt is regulated by a third party that profits. So there's the middleman won't allow it to happen. And this is what we're fighting now. And believe me when I tell you it's the middleman.
That would take away the middleman's profit, wouldn't it? To expose who they're working for.
It is the middleman that Vladimir Putin is fighting. And it's not, I don't think it is who we think it is, which is usually an ethnic minority with a religion associated with them. But I think that they kind of lost control of it about 12 or 15 years ago. It's something else now. And so, look, you got to take care of yourself, man. Nobody is going to take care of you right now. And after 3-4 generations of codependence with government, people have forgotten that they are a self-reliant creature. And I can tell you that, there's a mass exodus of people now out of cities all over the world.
Yeah, definitely.
All over the world.
Has been since, for the last 2 years.
Yeah, I was reading this story in Vice, and one of the things that happened in Japan was massive numbers of Japanese millennials left the city, and they've actually repopulated what were almost abandoned towns.
That's
And
interesting.
so,
That's super interesting. My brother lives in Japan, and he says there is that outward flux of people just leaving the city, and it's not the vibrant place it was. And like the same people who left the villages out in the country to go to the city. There's people leaving the city to go out in the country and populate these villages, and there's there's going to be a certain percentage that have a couple of years and go on board and try and look for the next thing or whatever, but it seems like a worldwide pattern. Sorry.
Well, mainly because the invention of the internet, where Bruce is proving that point right now, where if you've got a good internet connection, you can do anything. Apart from, say, seeing live performances, I don't think, Iron Maiden's not going to go to the Telemanca Mountains and play a gig. But they did play San Jose, let's be fair.
Yeah.
But the bands are sort of spreading out more. But my point is, it's live performance. Everything else, YouTube, trying to think of all the other, Rumble and Odyssey and Twitch and Zoom and Skype and everything that is done through the portal that is a computer that's that you're staring at right now, or a phone. Be it iPhone Mini 13, just saying. You can live anywhere. If you've got power and the internet connection, you can basically live. And it gives you an opportunity where, now, interesting enough, with the floods that happened in Queensland and New South Wales, people have gone out to get away from, government. And what's been proven is, the government sucks because of their response to that massive natural disaster.
Or there's not government out there, there's nature. Deal with it yourselves.
Well, yes, that's what happened because the government didn't turn up and not doing anything.
They should. Now,
obviously, but also there could be a wake-up call, like with bushfires. Apparently, you can get fined hundreds of thousands of dollars if you clear 20 meters from your house because save the rainforest. It's like,
what?
Yeah, but I want to save my house. And
that's
so
mental.
there's a way, simple compromise where you can live in nature and still have a beautiful life with a beautiful house and a beautiful family, and you have that balance. And Bruce, you're a perfect example. You live in a rainforest, but do you have indoor plumbing?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So
I think just from living there in a rainforest, you have a lot of balance credit already. Even if you don't see Iron Maiden or whatever come in your local area and play, music that they made 40 years ago, it still feels like we should be more connected to nature than we are.
Well, yes,
Agreed.
and also Iron Maiden keeps releasing albums. I heard that jab. How dare you? They're not as good as 40 years ago. Yes, very, very. But there is that missing connection. Like if you look at like Australia and Canada. Well, Canada's a bit older because of it's closer to the motherland of England. But when Melbourne, like in the 1850s, like when Melbourne was created, it's like, we'll have a park here. And it's the size of 17 football fields or Olympic, you know what I mean? They really had a park and a garden.
It's
and there
great.
Still, it's an English garden, but still there's a form of connection to nature. And there's, like we have state forests now where they're actually protecting. Most of England, the southern part of England was just one big forest. And it still exists, but it's a postage stamp compared to a soccer pitch. It's still there. Yeah.
Ponies wandering around in it.
Yeah, I can see the other side. However, it comes down to that balance where, like, someone shared a meme of what the world would be like if they didn't ignore Nikola Tesla, and it's like the Jetsons. Now, I say
that's
Jetsons.
not even talking about the floating cities that he envisaged and stuff like that. That's off the map.
That's kind of Jetsons. I said like the Jetsons, not the Jetsons, because I don't think they had trees in the Jets. My point being is, most of the planet really wouldn't need to be concreted and fenced in and everything else like that. If you remember the Hunger Games, it's going to be a good version of that. Not the Hunger Games version. That's terrible. But the point is that humanity will be able to live in concert with with nature.
Yeah. Japanese have a name for going out in the woods or in the forest, and it's kind of it translates something close to kind of forest bathing, where you know that it's something that you want to get immersed in, that you benefit from being immersed in. You know, it's
one of the benefits of actually doing gardening is usually when you just use bare hands, you're actually absorbing nutrients from the soil.
Which is why you probably shouldn't use gloves, huh?
No, sometimes yes, sometimes no. Like I've got
Unless you're
blackberries
dealing with feces or something.
Well, yeah, obviously it's a case by case basis. Thank you, Cortek.
I don't want to advise anyone to just pick up a bunch of shit.
I don't know, those cow pats, if they're flat enough, they can go real far if you fling them.
Frisbees. I've done that once.
So it's just, you know. Yes, I won't say that on air. Picture shown here. Lost it there. Yes, Saruman. Actually, that does sound a bit. Anyway. I
know that meme.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I actually shared a meme of like the people that have been saying if it saves one life for the last 2 years, and then it's got Saruman going to war. Because if you notice that pivot where it was from pandemic to Russian man bad and go to war, it's kind of sickening. And I'm sure everyone listening and on the panel, if I can call it that, we know something's off with the whole Russian-Ukraine thing. Something doesn't feel right at all.
All of it. Basically all of it? Is it all of it? Is all of it the answer? All of it for $200.
Well, no, it's because Putin is a megalomaniac and he's trying to recreate the Soviet Union. Like, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I do like NATO that is right on their doorstep, and the reason why they created that pact was so there was a buffer between that to stop any stupidness like this being on the brink of war, you know.
But they put it into that false dichotomy of good bad, where the Allies against the Axis countries, and Russia bad and we're good. Well, how many times has the United States gone into a country and bombed its infrastructure and took it over and put bases there?
Yeah. Pretty sure every year for the last 30, 50, 100 years.
The English have invaded every country on the planet. They've been everywhere in their
but they're
history.
Spineless.
Yeah, now. But World War II kicked the living crap out of them. And that's when they changed it from Empire, and they used Commonwealth instead of Empire, because Empire didn't really work that well in Wisconsin.
And Star Wars had come out.
Yeah, well, that's like 30 years after. But yeah, point. But the point is, how can, if you just look at it on paper, you can't, if you don't want to pick a side, the United States government, which is the machine. It doesn't matter what puppet's in charge. They're still doing that whole empire building. Like they've got Guam and they've got the Philippines. We've got Pine Gap here in Australia.
Yeah, get out of our countries.
Bruce, is there any US bases in Canada?
No.
You sure?
No.
Oh, surprising.
No.
Well,
Canada is a US base.
Yeah, I was about to say that. It's the same thing.
Yeah, because they've got Alaska.
So here's what we're talking about now. We're talking about an application of law in which everybody's equal. That's what the world has needed for the last 5 or 7 years. We wouldn't be in this social media fueled duality cyclone where we're ready to rip each other's heads off if there was any balance and equity in the law. Law simply, as it rests in a human heart, before it gets put to paper, before anything happens, there are certain things about a law that every human being understands. They don't need to be told. Number one, if it is a law, it applies to everybody. Like, you don't get a title from the Queen and suddenly get a suspension from the laws of gravity.
Yeah,
The
you don't
law
get
of
it.
gravity.
You don't get an email from Facebook saying you can use offensive, language as long as it's directed towards Russia.
Well, strangely enough, they're allowing hate speech towards Russia, but
That's
keep
what
going,
I'm saying.
Bruce.
Sorry.
You too. So what we're seeing now is this realignment where the world is asking for equity, okay? And the United States is reluctant to give it up. Now, I've been saying this for 4 or 5 years as well. Trump had to offer up heads, okay? He literally had to put people into defendants' boxes in The Hague or on trial in the United States. And this might have balanced the energy, okay, and might have wiped the slate clean on Iran, Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, and all of these things, right? So the world is I follow Xinhua News every day. Now, yes, it is an organ of the CCP. There's no doubt. But look, they say some truth too, because propaganda is no good unless it has some truth in it, right?
Hey Bruce, can I ask? It seems
Well,
just
let me
just.
make my point,
Oh,
and
sorry,
I'll be
sorry,
done in a
sorry,
sec.
sorry.
Okay,
Oh, sorry.
so basically, this is what they keep asking. They say, what is the law? What is the difference between what Russia has done and what the United States has done?
Mm.
And not only that, from China's point of view, the Russian engagement has been very clean and pretty much Geneva Convention.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but China is demanding war crimes prosecution against the United States. Now, this is something they were pushing for before Ukraine.
For which war?
Okay.
There's a few of them.
Well,
Anything.
Syria, the 3 countries that they have war crimes documented in are Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan.
Yeah, I'd like some Afghanistan stuff to come out so our boy can get back from WikiLeaks. Julian Assange. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Why are you still
that's
incarcerated?
that whole thing is a complete travesty, because we need to charge him with treason. He's not an American citizen, and you notice the Australian government couldn't give a rat's ass because they're probably being threatened. And yeah, he's in England, and the way he's being treated. I mean, if you've got Roger Waters singing "Wish You Were Here" at the front, and only Russia Today covers it, that tells you how sort of the narrative is connected. Roger Waters, the main creative person for 2 decades of Pink Floyd, singing "Wish You Were Here," one of their most favourite songs, in front of I can't remember which consul it was, but it was in London, and one news service on the entire planet actually covered it.
That's news for you. Do we need it?
Well, we need something, because, I mean, how else will we know things will happen?
I don't think we need a 24-hour news cycle, though. I feel like, this is something that's just like a nationality's government that has got out of control and seems only interested in its own self-preservation at this point. It's not useful to provide such conjecture about so many different things that don't have actually any basis in truth most of the time.
Well, let's take the positive aspect from what you're saying. Why are they acting like that? If they're all so powerful and they're controlling the whole planet, why do they seem to be on the back foot a lot at the moment, especially in the last 2 years? Like, we've been calling for transparency. Now, the way that creation works, instead of actually, say, in the law courts, we're getting transparency through hypocrisy. And don't you love the Prime Creator?
He's a joker. He's a joker.
And so what we're seeing as well is, the things are happening, but it's blatantly obvious. And to use the term, they're waking people up every day. More people are waking up to the hypocrisy, because in Australia, if they do the whole vaccine mandate thing again, you're going to get a lot of pushback, because they've just gone through the last 18 months and they realised it's pointless, and you know what I mean? It's the false reality they put forward is so obvious that people aren't believing the lie anymore.
Yeah. It's like trying to say, are those people real? No, it's a Punch and Judy show with 2 hands up their felt backs, You can tell the difference between that.
And the thing is, like, innocent people getting killed, that's bad. We sort of have to keep mentioning that if anyone strays onto this show, like, oh, they're all Russian supporters. No, it's bad. But the Ukrainian government aren't exactly saints before Russia went in. Like, there was reports of genocide and all that stuff. I mean, Eastern Europe's been playing weirdness. Where was the world when Armenia got invaded again? What's happening in Turkey? Yemen has been going on for 7 years. I'll stop now because I just realized you can go for 45 minutes.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, and there's a lot of, the same patterns of people involved in trying to play risk,
Yeah, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a pattern I recognize patterns. Go ahead.
That's right. There's less than a week in terms of its theory and reality. So you get it before next week's show. Sorry, Bruce.
Yeah, so I think clearly everybody's starting to see now that there's a high production value on Ukraine. I mean, this is the most this is the biggest sort of Hollywood news fusion since ISIS. Remember ISIS with the graphic videos and everything? And I mean, that was all Hollywood produced, man. And I think they were really killing people.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so we've been through like a little shop of horrors in the last 21 years since 2001.
Yep.
I'll give you an example very quickly of how it's Wag the dog. Everyone go watch that movie again and you'll go, no way. Did you see the photo of an unexploded bomb? And there was a couple of people trying to defuse it. And the text, it's a meme, but it's still based on the truth. Because, the first thing you do when you unexplode a bomb is cover the markings of the said bomb. And they've actually got a little towel over. We don't know whose bomb it was.
It was yours.
Well, I did fire. I got drunk for my birthday and I fired one off.
Why would you cover up the markers for anyone else's ordnance apart from your own?
This may explode and take down a building. Quick, cover the markings.
We're afraid that the Russians might come into the biolabs and take control of it. We're not going to ask. We're not going to answer whether it's ours or not. We're just going to say they're there.
What we got to do to get the message out is just keep hammering on corruption. Give up everything else, all the other crazy shit that makes people tune us out, and really get people to focus on this. Yes, you are living in a world where corporate greed is so great. They could, if they didn't intentionally create the vaccine in their domain, which is private sector, corporate, for-profit, corporate pharmacia, they were happy the military was working on it. And there had to be some synergy between the private and public sector. This is a uniquely American characteristic. The Commonwealths generally keep everything tied up in ministries, which is the equivalent of a department. And most defense contracting is inside ministries in the Commonwealth. Most countries in the world, the government makes the weaponry. I mean, they have partnerships with the private sector. They buy technology and stuff, or they buy patents or what have you. But the United States has this, it really is a deep state. And it's all of these, companies that are the size of small countries by gross domestic product, Lockheed Martin, Booz Hamilton, Bechtel, things like this. And I mean, where is that all going to go when America comes apart? So, I mean, think about America coming apart and think about how much they have that the rest of the world would want a sort of Sunday garage sale. Right. And what happens when all this stuff gets all spread out throughout the world? You got to realize America is really is the nexus of evil in the world now. And some people might think, well, that's quite a statement, Bruce. Have you been to the Congo? Have you been here? Well, no, I haven't been there. But the reason I know that the United States is the nexus of evil now is they're the only people on the planet standing up saying they run things. And the amount of power you at least have to think you have to do that would make you the nexus of evil.
And also
So-
with the whole thing about, like, say, the Congo, we use that as the example. Oh, the Congo's worse. Yeah, it could be, but it's still affected by the United States government or oligarchy and the corporations, the elites of America, even on the base level of the petrodollar. And so that sort of, the Americans are saying, oh, we control everything. In certain ways they are, because, the Congo is going through its stuff, but there's still the American influence in there, be it the corporation side of things.
Yeah. So what they've come up with is this great reset. And, even 6 months, a year ago, people were laughing about this. I read
first couple of days.
Sorry, Cortek, go ahead.
No, the first couple of days when it came out, the guy with pointy shoulder pads presenting it. I was thinking.
Klaus Schwab, dressed like a Bond villain. But a good example, and I'll hand the ball back to Bruce. Justin Trudeau puts out a video saying the Great Reset, it's awesome, we've got a great opportunity. 7 days later, I never put that video out.
Lies.
Yeah, if you say he did, you're a conspiracy theorist. And so there's another characteristic of our time is overused tropes, right? It's almost like, think of it like Rasputin dosing himself with the poisons he thought they'd try and kill him with, so that when they did come to kill him, he'd have a built-up immunity.
Yeah.
They've overdosed us with their propaganda. Like, none of it works anymore.
None of it is believable. Nothing they say because they are saying it is believable.
Yeah. And so all of this is going to come apart. And what you got to do is you got to ask yourself, what's that going to look like realistically? And you don't have to be clairvoyant or psychic or, have a prophecy to figure this shit out. It's pretty simple. When centralized control begins to weaken, there will be chaos in the center, right? So the cities are going to be very chaotic. Anything outside the cities and beyond, and city suburbs now are a thing in North America. These metropolitan centers that are, and I think Melbourne is the same thing now, the greater Melbourne area. It's another thing that they did across at least the Five Eyes countries, and I think even the G7, Japan did it as well. There was all this municipal amalgamation 25 years ago, 20, 25, 15 years ago.
The whole time. Yep.
Yeah, and it was all very structured. And this is what you have to pay attention to. It's like I call these little Deborah Tavares details. Like, well, why are they doing this? Why are they laying the legal groundwork to do this?
Yeah, we have examples of what would be controlled by a local majority of people who live there, deciding what they want in an area to be controlled by a wider area that really is disconnected from the decisions that they're making over.
Yeah. So the metropolitan areas are the gathering spots. They're really the concentration camps. And I don't know. They're almost Dreamtime dead now, with the electromagnetic nets over them, with all of the condominium buildings, satellite dishes, and towers, and frequencies passing. There's almost like a psychic net over the ability of your consciousness to, exist outside of it. It's very in future iterations of medicine and psychology, we're going to understand electromagnetic waves a lot better, and they are having an effect on us. The Druids actually said that their order collapsed because of the beginning of cell towers. They couldn't communicate telepathically anymore. And I know
it's all that noise.
Yeah,
it's
and I know
noise.
Homing pigeons don't work anymore either.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, now to add, there's planet changes. I'm not going to say climate change because that's weather. It's been happening for 4 billion years. There's the magnetics on the planet where I think the North Pole's screaming towards Siberia. I've seen graphs of there was 2 North Poles and 2 South Poles for a little bit. And in Florida, they had to repaint their runways because it was out by certain amount, so they didn't want the planes crashing. In Sydney, the Google self-drive machine couldn't work because it was out by a meter or something like that. There's something weird happening with the electromagnetic field.
Everything's shifting a lot per year. Like, it's not just like inches, it's meters.
Yeah, now
50 meters.
Yeah, and now is this a spiritual evolution, or is it just a planetary evolution that happens as well as part of the spiritual side of things, as well as you've got Team Dark trying to counterbalance that. I messed up. I said futon instead of photon belt once. We had 5 minutes of comedy there. But if the star system's going through the photon belt and it's getting lighter, and so there's less heaviness in the molecules.
That would be a heavier belt, not a lighter belt.
Yeah, thank you. But there's the expanding of consciousness, which could be the end of the age. There's so many that all we know is something's going on, and it's definitely not what the news is telling us. Because there's all this weird stuff where whales were beaching on New Zealand because to them it's like, shouldn't we be in the Philippines?
Yeah, we should lulling it up in Breedsville right now in Tonga, but we're on a beach. I don't know how this happened. Sorry, guys.
Why are we in Christchurch? I was heading for Guam. What the hell, man?
I don't know.
See, that's the other fun part, and it's very hard to try and find that. Suspicious Observers, Ben Davidson, is a good spot because he's actually going through the information to see what's true and what's not, as well as actual scientists trying to figure it out. And the climate could be changing naturally because I don't think it's CO2. They're blaming us. I own a car, and that's why Hawaii is slowly sinking. Well, no, because a volcano pops off, and in 2 days it can pump out 100 years worth of carbon.
That's what they do. Yeah. I think we should be looking at the galaxy and see if the rest of the galaxy is going through the same changes we are, and studies would point towards that they are. So anything that we think that this is like a Incan kind of Incan shaman up the top of the festival, when I say festival I mean head cutting ritual.
I know
up the top just going, I know when there's going to be an eclipse.
Well,
I don't know, but when it does happen, I know that it's an eclipse, so I'm going to try and pretend that I'm doing it or something like that.
And I know the pattern and the cycles that is actually unfolding. Now, the sun is going a bit banana nut bread.
I know that term.
Yeah, thank you very much. And it's the heliosphere, the shield around the system is weakened, as well as the electromagnetic shield around the planet is weakened. And so we're getting crap from everywhere. And so there is one theory, and I think it's a theory because it sounds like you don't have to do the work. Everything will be done for you, and that's a trap. That there'll be an energy wave from the galactic sun in the middle of our galaxy, and when it hits, humanity be awakened and spiritually think. It's like, well, that's not. I'm sure there's a wave of energy coming through, but it's not. But it's not going to work because you haven't done the work yourself. Yeah. If you've done the work yourself, you'll probably benefit from that wave. But if you haven't, if you still watch the wrestling and actually scream at the TV. It's not really. See, that's what I mean. Where there's a lot of spiritual people in the spiritual community
that don't understand that everything has to be done within yourself.
Yeah, you have to do the work, whatever that work is, because we're all unique, including the one that says I'm not.
Well, the whole galaxy's inside us.
Well, no, everything is inside us. But my point being is like, don't worry, the prime creator or Jesus will save you. No, that's just going to hook you in to stay here. You actually have to do the work and evolve yourself, because that's part of your plan that you created when you had a chance to do it 10,000 years ago or something like that, 10,000 lifetimes.
And the trap is being told that it will be done for you.
Yes.
In some manner or form, because that's so not the case.
Yeah, there'll be a solar flare, it will hit the Earth, and everyone will be awakened to the glory of the Prime Creator. I'm like, no.
We need to do this together, and there's no other way than being a majority on this. But
depending on the
soul,
solar,
find that themselves individually, and there's no forcing anyone else. This is why in the last 2-3 years, everyone who saw 9/11 as a place to jump down the rabbit hole and start investigating things for themselves, there's a massive disparity between them and the people who have had COVID as their first false flag.
Yeah, and it comes down,
and you don't. It seems like it's painful to have that conversation, or to feel like you're running over ground that you've been through again. But it's so important to do because everyone's at different levels, and we can't stop and say the job's done before it's done, because it's so not done.
Well, it's an inside job. That's what's happening. And so the job was, you'll know. It's like Bill Hicks talking about receiving fellatio. What are you doing? I think you're done. No, I think you'll know when I'm done. So,
arcing ropes of...
Yeah, all right, calm down. we try to be a family friendly. We're not Disney that far yet.
Bill Hicks.
So it's interesting.
You too.
I'll stop it. You. It's
oddly enough, I got about 30 minutes into Stan and Laurel on Netflix today.
Is that the movie about Laurel Hardy and Stan, whatever?
Yeah.
I'm trying to find a copy of that because I think the guy who plays Stan, I know that actor, and it's British made, isn't it?
Which one was the thin one? Then I'll have some reference.
Yeah, I don't know the actor's name. He's a British comedic actor. I
think Hardy was the big one, and Stan Laurel, or Laurel is he's
I think Peter C. Riley.
Okay, yeah, Stan is the thin one.
Okay.
Cortek.
Yeah.
They're actually the template for fat and skinny jokes.
Yeah.
Someone had to do it.
Yeah, and also they're one of the rare few of acts that transitioned from silent movies into talkies.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think Charlie Chaplin as well, because people will watch Chaplin for nearly 2 decades, and they heard his voice. That was the problem with a lot of silent movie actors, is they had a voice like this. Like,
we got to redub this guy. This is not going to work.
Yeah, this is basically it's like Rambo, and hello, and and so the voices didn't really work. So there you go, a bit of a caveat, a bit of a sidestep.
Can I just say, Bruce, there is a cricket around you that is singing the most awesome symphony or hymn, or slow it down. That's what they do.
It's a night bird.
That's a cricket. It's going diggity diggity. You slow that down, they're singing.
Oh, there's beautiful night birds here too. What I see here, I don't even call them moths anymore. I call them night butterflies. They're so beautifully colored. Now the color is on a gray matting, like a normal moth, but my God, I've seen such incredible patterns on moths, and they're huge. They're like half the size of a Frisbee.
That is math. That's a big moth. Like, I would say the size of a tennis ball, maybe the circumference of a tennis ball is a rough average for a mutant moth these days. That's beautiful. I think there's so much we can learn from nature if we give ourselves time to be in it. Schauberger, said that he learned everything just by sitting by a stream. All of these fluid dynamics, everything.
I would put it actually, Cortek, to be a bit nitpicky, almost pedantic man. There we go, nitpick. Pedantic man sidekick is nitpick. He's a short Asian dude. Nitpick. Hurrah! We're remembering our connection to the earth. Like, if you look at all the native tribes on the planet, and the shamanistic tribes, you don't own land. You're just there to be a caretaker and look after the land.
Which makes sense.
And and also, I mean, a lot of things that is referred to as woo-woo, we can do. Like my friend Melissa, she can actually help healing through the bioenergetics. through that frequency. And it's not like she's special. Well, she's special because she's telling everyone, but every human has the capacity of learning what she does.
Can you expand on what she does? Bioenergetics?
But using frequency, she like any healer, puts the body into balance, and then you heal yourself.
Is that along the lines of the stuff that came out that was squashed, which would try and heal ailments through frequency of sound?
No, it's not. No, it's not. There's a book out there called Cells, Electricity, and the Body. Go read it, Cortek. All of your cells have electricity in it.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
If you balance the whole electricity promotes healing. Mm-hmm. It promotes, it fixes your field. We also have a sort of mat that generates an electromagnetic field, and you can lie on the mat, and it will adjust your body. Go look it up. I forgot the name of it.
I don't know. It sounds cool. Sounds like a cool idea.
Yeah, it's basically I mislabel it as super Reiki, but I've done it where you you can do an experiment now. Put your hands up about 12 inches, about a foot apart, or about 15 centimeters apart.
In front of you?
Yeah. Well, you can try it behind you if you want to be cheeky.
I'm doing it on top. I'm doing it.
Yeah, but you just put your hands there and you just think I'm gonna you'll feel like an energy field coming through your hands. And
it's like Hayugen.
I'm not sure what that is.
It's a Street Fighter move. Hayugen.
I didn't catch the Street Fighter 2 reference there. Sorry, right. But it's in a universe of energy, it makes sense. And as Rez's point backed up what I said, any healer worth their salt, they put you into balance, and then you heal yourself. And humanity has forgotten that ability. Where like Melissa's done work where people's bones have healed because they've been put back into the right frequency, and you go into a higher frequency instead of a lower frequency, and it's fascinating stuff.
Can't cat purrs heal bones? Well, this is the region. This is the region that we're in. The whole thing of frequency healing ailments kind of got squashed early on by government forces, and it seems like the pattern would say, in terms of what else we've seen squashed, even in the last 2 years, of ideas being banned from YouTube and now coming out because they're said by the different people that to be fact. And I don't think this is the time where we don't have any
call to finish the sentence?
No, just any kind of remorse or anything for these institutions that seemingly obstinately took that path as a point of view. At the moment we've got so many organizations that were proven wrong, that have done wrong, trying to look for our forgiveness, saying, anyone can make mistakes. Sure, we banned people for saying the right thing, but it was just a part of the process.
Cortek, let me read something for you, okay? And it will explain exactly what you're saying. You cool with that?
Sounds great.
In the future, we will eliminate the soul with medicine. Under the pretext of a healthy point of view, there will be a vaccine by which the human body can be treated as soon as possible, directly at birth. So, as that human being cannot develop the thought or the existence of the soul and spirit, to materialistic doctors will be entrusted the task of removing the soul of humanity. As today, people are vaccinated against this disease or that disease. So in the future, children will be vaccinated with a substance that can be produced precisely in such a way that people, thanks to this vaccination, will be immune to being subject to the madness of spiritual life. He will be extremely smart, but he will not develop a conscience. The true goal of some materialistic circle, that is their true goal. With such medicine, you can easily make the etheric body loose in the physical body. Once the etheric body is detached, the relationship between the universe and the etheric body would become extremely unstable, and a man would become an automaton. Yeah. For the physical body of man must be polished on this earth by spiritual will. So the vaccine becomes some form of Ariamanic force man can no longer get rid of given materialistic feeling, he becomes materialistic of constitution and can no longer rise to the spiritual. This was written by Rudolf Steiner, 1861 to 1925.
Yeah, and so Team Dark actually wants to keep you in the physical realm because they don't want you to find out that you're a multi-dimensional being and like the light spectrum. Your human eye can see less than 1% of the light spectrum, which asks the question, well, what the hell else is out there?
That was beautiful.
Your brain processes
Steiner.
11 million stuff every day, and you perceive only 6 of them. Go ahead, Bruce.
As well as the heart is stronger than the brain. Go ahead, Bruce. I had to slide that in.
Made of the same stuff, though.
Jesus Christ.
True.
Fucking so in circle here. So Steiner
Rudolf
also,
Steiner.
Make it a quilt.
Yeah, he very deliberately predicted that a vaccine would be used as an instrument of mass depopulation, or to set in motion the separation of the spirit and the man. Specifically, a vaccine. It was very prophetic, and specifically in this medical field. Very interesting guy.
It's an operational procedure to divide us from our spirituality, so we've become automatons.
Yeah, basically you lose 99.999% of your existence and you just stay as the human body. And that's what science has basically been saying. Oh, quantum physics over the last 20 years is realizing, wait a minute, there's so much more.
We don't know what's going on.
Well, there's a movie called What the Bleep Do We Know, which I think came out in 2005.
Yeah,
and it was just a group of people just asking the question. And they're explaining stuff. And that's where I learned about the Japanese professor who did his experiments with water and writing names.
Yeah. Apparently that hasn't, I can't remember either, but apparently the argument is that hasn't been replicated. Now, I would argue that again because I put some treated water into an ice container and I got arcs of ice. Well,
it's not pure water, that's why.
Was it? I've never seen anything happen like that.
Well, see, now, interesting thing, water is programmable.
Mm.
So this is galactic historian stuff where, they take water off planet because it's so awesome.
The first time I heard that, I chimed with it, and I thought it was beautiful.
Water has a 4th state when it reaches 4 degrees Celsius, I think. It achieves a 4th stage. And I believe what was the name of it? Cavitation, was it? No, wait, cavitation. Probably cavitation is part of the other one that's helping me.
You mean like a plasma? It's kind of
just for the listeners wondering what the other 3 are. You've got gas, liquid, and solid, and so there's a 4th state.
Plasma.
Yeah, water has a 4th stage to it. State, not stage. And it when it reaches 3 degrees or 4 degrees, go read about it. I think Bartsitz has a 2-hour-long video on it.
What happens? Give us a gist in 30 seconds.
Dr. Emoto.
I don't remember. I'll be honest.
Yeah. You basically have to watch the video, Cortek. But it's fascinating, especially they say it in What the Bleep Do We Know. It makes you think, doesn't it? Because we're 70 or 80% water, and our thoughts affect us.
Yeah, the majority water, and we know that it can affect so much. Like quality water that you ingest on a daily basis is a fundamental requirement.
Yeah. And science has proven that lower frequencies, anger or negativity, or you're feeling down and you feel the weight on your weight of the world on your shoulders. But when you're feeling light and happy, you're in a higher frequency, and time passes quickly when you're a higher frequency. The example I use, if I do 5 minutes of stand-up comedy and everyone in the room is on point with my jokes, they're following what I'm doing, I'm performing really well. That 5 minutes can go in 30 seconds because everyone's having fun and the times. Now, if I suck and everyone in the room hates what I'm doing, I could stretch it out to an hour and a half.
4 hours.
Yeah.
Jesus, round table must be like a week for you, Monty.
sometimes. And then other times,
it's a decompressing time.
And then in other times, it's like I sit down, okay, do the show, and didn't I just finish one? What am I doing? But I'm a lazy time lord, so I instead of trying to vibrate at a highest state that I can travel through time, I'm slowing down. Slowing down time.
Time Lord can do whatever the hell they want.
All right, people.
If they've got a TARDIS.
I got the name for it. It's the missing link to cold fusion. It's called cold fusion, cavitation. It's also part of alchemy. And if you guys remember, cavitation is ink printer, where Andrew was talking. You can do cavitation via printers, printer,
Where are we at cold fusion?
Like Monty used to say it. So go read, or for the listeners, go read or learn about cold fusion, and you will learn a lot more about water.
Is cold fusion accepted these days? Because it's been in the works for a long time.
No, it's suppressed. No, it's suppressed.
Of course it's suppressed, like everything else. Now we're at the end of Planet Collingwood, just getting in before we hear the music. So I quickly want to thank the callers and the listeners and the people who are going to watch this on multiple platforms that I put it up on. So final thoughts, keep them short. Cortek?
I got one. It's not quite so short. It's something I saw recently. It's a guy called Gregory Sams. He's one of the guys that first started the health revolution in the US and then got interested in chaos theory. He started a chaos store after that, but what it taught him was that chaos really organizes things from the ground up, and anything like government trying to organize things from the top down doesn't work. He wrote a book called The State is Out of Date.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Raz and Bruce, keep your thoughts to yourselves. Thank you for being here. That was Planet Collingwood. We'll be back in 6 days and 22 hours. I love you from afar, and let's keep it that way. See you soon. Bye, everyone.